Hello boys and girls. Today we are going to do an outdoor man shave. This is the shaving soap from Stirling. And you can see just how much soap they give. It's about 5.8 ounces or more. This is a great scent. I am liking it as a cologne dupe from Creed. Anytime Stirling has one that ends in man, then that means that they have pulled that scent as an inspiration from one of the ones from Creed. Like Executive Man is Aventus, that kind of thing. And the Splash, I rarely buy the Splash, but this one, I had a sample of it or something, and I just really liked it, and I thought it as an aftershave would go with just a bunch of enjoyable things. And so I went ahead and bought the Splash as well. It's also a seasonal release right now, and this is the time when you're going to see me use something fairly new. And so that's kind of different. Here's the soap, and here is the cologne, the way Stirling sends out colognes nowadays. And I like it. They did a little period where they did the solid colognes. I don't think it projects quite the same as these guys. And it depends on the scent. I've had a Stirling cologne last more than 12 hours before, where I could smell my wrist. It was still there. You know, I don't know if it was projecting too far, but I was very happy with the quality. Sometimes when you pay for dupes and that sort of thing, you get lower quality because it's the ingredients. A lot of times Creed will use expensive ingredients to achieve the scent that they want. But then smaller houses might make a dupe of it, but they can't afford to use those same ingredients. And so in a way, those higher fragrance houses, you're getting what you're paying for. Because the ingredients are more rare sometimes. Sometimes they have a longer staying power, but Rod at Stirling does a good job of getting the scent pretty close. And so if you think you might enjoy the one thing, then the Stirling version of it, might come close enough. And especially when you consider this is $24 or so, instead of the hundreds of dollars that you'll pay for, I looked up Creed Aventus the other day. And then the bath soap is this guy right here. And he takes up the whole little bar in here. And it's 5.5 ounces of soap. And this is usually like $5 or $6. And so it's actually a decent way to try out a soap, the scent. You can get the cologne in a small tester sometimes. And so that, of course, is a good way to check it out. But if they release, they don't do testers in everything. And so if they have a hand soap or a bar soap here in it, then worst case, you just got something nice for the shower. And I've mentioned that on my channel several times. Let me get my face wet. So Bois du Portual is the scent from Creed that the outdoor man is patterned after. So that answers that question. Bois. Is that water? Maybe Portugal is Portugal. So, water of Portugal. Is that maybe the translation? I don't know. All right. So, Bois du Portual is from Creed. Outdoor Man is from Stirling. So this is the first time I am using the soap. As you can, why is that bound up so easily? There we go. As you can see, it has not been used at all. Well, it might be better focused if I keep it a little farther from the camera there. All right. For the razor today, we're going to keep going with the Nacet inside the Timeless Razors. Stainless steel, 68 gap, open comb razor. The brush we're going to use is on a handle from CravingShaving, and I'll show you that in a second. Just going to show you the little mark markings on the blade. And the knot in it is from Stirling. So it's what a good one to have. I didn't plan that, but hey. So here is the Finest Badger knot. It's a 2-band knot. The Finest Badger from Stirling. And this was their inexpensive Finest Badger for a long time there. Very highly recommended. This is a bulb knot. And I got it in Stirling's handle, but I did not like that handle. It just didn't have a lot of contour and it was kind of small. And one of the nice things about CravingShaving handles, I don't think he's putting them out as much as he used to anymore, but I really enjoyed the longer, larger handles, and man, this thing is comfy, so I really like it. And I definitely kept an eye on his website at the time, years ago, when he was pushing out handles more regularly, and I made sure that I snatched up any that I looked attractive to me, because I didn't know that he was going to back off on his production, but I just did know that very few makers make handles that are comfy for me. These are especially good with their length for bowl lathering, and that you don't get your fingers quite as messy, you know, that sort of thing. So we have yep, I've told you about everything, so let's get going. Oh, dang it. I spilled. Let me fix that. All right. Got that under control. Saturated brush. Holds a lot. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of the water there. We'll do a normal bowl lather today since I have the nice comfy handle. This is a firm knot. It is a good option if you want to recommend the Finest Badger brushes. I'm going to pour a little bit of that extra water out. If you want to recommend the Finest Badger brushes to somebody and they want a little bit of scrub, still very soft. Okay, there we go. So here's what the brush looks like in the soap. It was a great value for a long time. I assume that Stirling is still selling it. They came up with a different kind of Finest Badger brush that was maybe $20 more. So for about $35, you could get this kind of knot that we're using today. But for $55, it had even more backbone. And while Rod at Stirling likes that scrub, I don't, and so I never bought one of those. This one started out feeling kind of like magic when I had it in the original Stirling handle for the first couple of uses. And so I thought, oh man, this is so great. I like to bring it to you guys, to show it to you. This one's got 42 uses on it. So it's definitely in my YouTube history there. And I thought this is such a great value of a brush that it's one I can recommend to people. And so let's put it in a better handle that I really like. And see right now, look at all this mixing I'm doing. And I'm able to hold this more like a knob style. And all clean. Started out with just the water that was in the brush, that was in the bowl there, and I can feel the stiff bristles here. After I moved it to this handle, though, it seemed to not feel as nice as it did when it was the Stirling handle, which I don't know why that could be, because I have mounted it as high as it could go, so the handle is not confining the splay at all, which could increase the stiffness of the bristles, increase the backbone. So this is a wonderful looking lather. I haven't used Stirling in a while because of the austere August. And so what I'm watching combine here is just the maturity of the lather. You can, because of the amount of water that I added initially, it's like I'm watching it grow and develop, and it's this nice little creamy texture right now. Maybe pretty well perfect. Not tons of lather right now. Let's do a little bit of jiggle. And oh, look at that. Look at how it holds itself together. That's some, if you get a stalactite like that and you turn it over on its side and watch how it behaves, then that can tell you about your lather. See, it's got enough water in it to where the weight moves that stalactite around. You know, now this is a shorter stalactite. He'll probably stay where he is. But you see, we're still not at a marshmallow cream phase. But we're still nice and creamy. Let's just add a little bit of water to this. Not a lot. We'll see how we can get this brush to act. As you may know, the finest brushes, finest is a term for when, for a certain grade of badger brush. And unfortunately, there's no standardization. And so there's no rules with it, is what that means. And so one company may call a brush a finest brush, but that doesn't, since there's no rules, it may or may not be similar to 99% of the finest brushes that are out there. Almost always the finest, but so what I'm going to describe to you is kind of the standard, our kind of unwritten rule, what 99% of the makers out there, when they say it's a finest badger, then that's what you're going to get. You've got those, the dark bristles will start almost right at the base of what you can see on the knot, and then they'll go all the way up to the very end. On a 3-band, you'll have a band of the lighter color, the non-black. Then you'll have a band of the black, and then you'll have the white tips. Whereas on a 2-band, because it's only got 2 bands, it's got mostly the black, and then the white bands of the tips. And that's because it has more backbone, and that's what people like. At least a lot of shavers do. If you don't like the backbone, then go toward the silver tip route, or the high mountain white route, but especially the silver tip route. They have a natural softness to them, easy splay, that sort of thing. Oh yeah, I'm glad I added some water to this. This looks really nice. Oh, and the smell is good. It's got a nice little satiny gloss to it. Yeah, look at that. Give it a little wiggle. Watch it kind of fall. Looks good. Let's go ahead and use that. Try that out. But since people like the backbone of the finest badger bristles, because it doesn't come from as premium of a place as the silver tips do, they put those in brushes for many years, but it would take a very long time for those tips to get soft naturally. And they would get kind of feathered and that kind of thing. But over time, they would naturally get soft, and then you'd have this wonderful combination of soft tips with that backbone. A lot of people like that combo, right? And so to artificially make that happen at some point, decade or so or more ago, somebody artificially, well, it's got to be more than a decade ago because that's when I started shaving. Maybe 2 decades ago, somebody started treating with a bleaching type agent the tips of the finest badger brushes so that immediately when you started using them, you would get the tips as if they had aged for many years. And so this is very desirable. Now you get the tip softness, and if they treat them a lot, there's a range. Treat them too much, and they can actually get brittle and super jelly and brittle to where they even break off. That's too much. Treat them too less, and they have that scrubby natural feel of the normal finest badger. Treat them just right, and there's a little spectrum in there where a lot of people are happy. Something a little bit more soft than the normal finest badger, you know. Then there's also a point where you can go a little bit farther, but it's not so soft that they're breaking, but you do get a very jelly, almost spongy, wet kind of feel. And then there's an area in between where very soft, but not quite jelly. You know, you got a nice little spectrum there. So it's been a while since I've shaved with this brush. Looking forward to giving it a shot. And this brush, because of its firmness, might like a thicker lather, one that's not quite as hydrated. Yeah, see, I can feel that backbone. It takes a little effort to make it splay, unlike the Smoke Owners Club that I've used now for over a month. That scent, man, that is really nice. You can look at the description of the video if you want to know the notes. So yeah, see this, I just don't like that I have to press really hard to make this guy splay. And I don't really think that's going to change unless I just put 1,000 uses on it, you know, and then it's only going to change a little bit. So I may change this knot to go into another handle that I don't like as much, or that I only like an average amount, you know, to where I can whip this brush out when I want to, but then this awesome handle can go on something a little nicer. Oh, that's pretty darn good. That's nice. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of water on the brush tips here. It's not super pasty. It's not, and what I meant to say was it's not really gathering a whole lot around my goatee. I mean, a little bit. Oh yeah, that's a good scent. Woody. A little bit of musk. I went ahead and went and got those scent notes for you instead of having to make you look in the description. It has bergamot as kind of the top note. Am I picking that out? Do I know very much what that smells like? Is that the woody orange? The woody part of an orange tree, I think is what that is. I think neroli is the bloom of an orange tree, but I think bergamot might be the woody part. Maybe I picked that up a little bit. Lavender is in the middle. That's neat. It has a little bit of earthiness to it. And then the base had a whole bunch of, had the high percentage of items that I love. I love all four of these: sandalwood, vetiver, cedar, and ambergris. And so that's four things. And so that was a blind buy for me. When it first came out in Black Friday, I don't remember if it was a real Black Friday or Stirling did a Black Friday in July as well. And I don't remember which one it came out as. But man, when I read those notes, I thought there's no way this is going to go wrong. And so I probably have duplicates in this one in terms of the splash and the soap, and I know that I have at least two of the colognes, and it's just really nice. So there we go. I was just walking around with this on my face because Stirling is just such a good lather. You can do that. You don't have to worry about it drying out on you. Oh, that's a good scent. lot of times I don't order this splash because it is fleeting. It's only going to give you scent for a few of them, only half an hour. But usually 1 or 2 hours, sometimes more. And so that's why I always get the fragrance instead, the cologne, because that is meant to project for longer. And then I could use a more neutral balm or splash or a tonic, like I have the Thayer's Witch Hazel tonic in this one, the toner. And I guarantee you a little mini bottle of Thayer's that I bought that was the lavender scented goes so well with this. So I could do the soap with the Outdoor Man. The immediate post shave would be the lavender toner from Thayer's, or Stirling has a witch hazel product as well. And then I could follow it up with a cologne of the Outdoor Man. And I know it would all work together well. That is a good scent with the ambery notes. Woody amber. That is just my genre right there, guys. There's the Whiskey Woods is a splash from Pinode that is kind of warm, woody and ambery like that too, and I love it. So about any soap where the maker is good and they define it as an amber woody, then I'm probably going to like it. This is soft if I don't splay it, if I just kind of let the tips do their thing. If the tips weren't soft like that, I would probably just sell the knot, or I probably would not have converted it from Stirling's handle into this one. But yeah, I wish it would splay a little easier. Had a couple days growth, and so that first pass, I'm actually going to do 2 with the grain passes here. You can be flexible like that. You don't have to always obey the rules. You may want to do your second pass as a with the grain. Nice glide from the razor. Stirling, protecting well, feeling good, moving quick, little splash of water. Oh yeah, just a luxury feel, When I do that quick splash of water, I just put some water on my face. That kind of activates any of the soap that was still left on my skin. And then I kind of squeeze it out of my beard as well. And then I kind of rub my hands with it. And that's when I get that really cool luxury feel. And so when I come back up from that and you hear me say, oh, or you see me exclaim about how much I like the feel of it, that's why. Third pass. And I've got lots of lather. It was correct of me to add that bit of water. I could still add some more if I wanted to. But this looks really, really nice. It definitely has that component of a creamy luxury feel to it. And as we've been talking about the last few times, the best soaps will let you stay in that creamy luxury zone while still having enough water in the soap to give you the slickness that you want. Lesser soaps make you have to choose that creaminess with a slightly more dry lather that's not as protective, or pushing more water into it and losing that creamy feel. All right, that's pass 3, I think. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So unfortunately, this knot is still just difficult to splay. But it's kind of nice because it's a great one to reference because if you're talking to somebody and they're just getting into the hobby and they want to try out a Badger brush, you can find out, what have you tried before? If they've only tried some kind of like a floppy brush or like a silver tip and they think it's too floppy for them, some people do, then you can definitely recommend the Stirling Finest Badger, the one that's $35. And if they want even more scrub, then they can get the higher priced Stirling one. That's a good scent. Definitely good for warmer weather since it's got that amber note to it. The bergamot at the top helps it to probably be great any time of the year. Stirling did make a comment, and it's on their website in the description, that said this particular Black Friday scent probably has the highest possibility of staying on as a regular. And I could see why. I'm glad I bought some. I'm going to have to look at my orders from Stirling. And, sometimes they bring on good ones and then they just don't catch on. Sometimes I have niche tastes that gravitate toward little certain corners of the shaving world. And sometimes those don't coincide with the mass shaving market. And so when I really like something and it seems like it might be in a niche somewhere, I try to buy a couple of I try to buy a backup of it. I think I have bought another of the Outdoor Man soap. Speaking of which, I'm going to clean up those. This is the easiest time to clean up the threading there from all that loading that I did. Looking good. Why don't we do another pass? It's fun. I'm enjoying using the brush. I probably don't need to. My face feels great. But this will be just kind of a pickup. And I really am fully enjoying this scent. Boy. Some people think that the houses like Stirling that are making duplicate scents of big fragrances is immoral. And it's definitely a debate. And there's good arguments on either side. For me, I don't mind it because number one, the big companies are not losing money on me because there's no way I'm going out and paying a few $100s for Creed Aventus to have that as a cologne. There's just no way. So they're not losing money. Stirling is not causing them to lose my money. But also, when a shave merchant duplicates a shave, it's a scent. It's rarely ever exact. And so you're getting something different. And that's why inspired by is often used, because a lot of times you can smell it and it's noticeably different. So they're putting out a different product. And so then why not charge whatever, you want? But like I said before, often they are using ingredients that are a little less expensive. They're easier to get, like in the case with Stirling. And he'll still choose ingredients that give a long-lasting projection on the cologne to adequate standards. But it's just not that, we traveled 300,000 miles and got this special civet bladder leakage extract. I mean, I'm just making something up. But, he just doesn't use such exclusive ingredients. And so that often will mean that there's been a change in the scent. And so then when those ingredients cost less, it's just normal to be able to offer it for a cheaper price. Now, some makers will use dupe oils that are for the fragrance part. They'll just buy it from an existing company that's already looked at the scent and made their own copy of it. And we call what do we call those? We don't really call those artisans. And when those people try to say that they are artisans, then they sometimes get some pushback on that because they're not crafting, they're not creating, they're buying. Oh, pre-blends. Yeah, we call those pre-blends because, you know, and you can even do it. You can get online, and if you want to be a fragrance maker, you know, or make your own witch hazel solution, or even your own shaving soap. There's plenty of soap makers that started out with their kitchen pots making soap. And so then you get a pre-blend oil and you mix that in. And now you can say it's inspired by CrvShv, right? And Stirling does that, I think, with some of their soaps. I don't know I know that he does it dupe-wise in terms of, let's take CrvShv, for instance, and let's send it off to a chemical lab and have them analyze it and tell us what's in it. And then we'll do our best to kind of get something that's close to it for our people to enjoy. But some of the makers would use pre-blends. I think Hub City would do that. A lot of times when you see popular ones or typical ones come out, like a tobacco scent or something like that, that's a similar tobacco to everybody else's, you know, it's our version or with a twist. And that's usually when they blend two different pre-blend oils, you know. But just to say, but they just use their own soap base with a pre-blend that they bought. And so there's no creativity involved. But that's fine as long as you like their soap base, if it offers something special. But unfortunately, there's so many good people out right now that it's really hard to offer a good soap base that's better than the existing ones that we have out. Oh yeah, so that just feels tremendous. That lather was perfect. It had the slickness that I wanted. The razor moved with ease. It protected me. I have no irritation at all. And I think I did 6 passes, right? And so if this was going to booger me up, then doing it in 6 passes was surely going to do it, right? Unless I'm being protected by a good lather. And that's what I got with the Stirling here. Now, the vegan version of tobacco, however, I would just do 3 passes sometimes, 3 or 4, and it was giving me trouble. I'm going to revisit this. One of you guys asked, do I plan to keep the vegan version of tobacco in my den? And I think that's a great question. My answer to that is probably for a little while. If it seems to be true, what I think is true, that this is going to irritate my skin, and other people have reported the same thing, not tons of people, but some. If it does turn out to irritate my skin because of its formulation, then the only reason I could keep it around would just be to just do comparisons with the vegan version. Later on, if they redo the vegan version again, which I think is possible and even probable, because the vegan version is not something that is engendering a lot of loyalty like the tallow did. They managed to get a really good tallow version many years ago, and so there's no reason to change it away from something that was really good. You'd alienate the people who were enjoying it, because undoubtedly some kind of change would mean that it's not as good, usually. But since this is not it's not legendary, I wouldn't be surprised if they changed it again in a year or 2 or 3. And so when it does change, it might be nice to have this 2024 around. So I may keep it. I don't know. I'm going to think about it. I definitely won't keep it just to know that I'll be using it a lot. You know, there'll be other soaps that I would rather use that for. And we had enough lather to do the job nicely. 6 passes, I think, and we still have at least 2 more passes of lather in the bowl and in the brush. That's the kind of, look at how slow it moves. That's the kind of viscosity we're dealing with here. And for me today, I could probably add just a touch more water and make it perfect. But honestly, this is within that realm of perfection, especially for this stiff brush. I welcomed lather that was going to get in there between the bristles and try to help it splay just a little bit with its thicker viscosity. It looks like one of those plague masks, doesn't it? Ha! All right. Well, there we go. Oh man, yes. Yeah, so what a good soap. Am I all cleaned up? Yeah, I've got a little bit more rinsing to do here. And as I put on the splash, Outdoor Man, I am going to mention that I found 3. I didn't find them. I knew they were there. Oh, wow, that was tight. I found 3 shaving videos that I recorded around May of this year, and I never got to laying them down in terms of my notes and putting them in my system so that I could post it. I put in my notes in my little app, and then it generates the code, the text for me to paste into the YouTube description or into Reddit, that sort of thing, with a nice formatting. My formatting is intentionally only done to help with readability, to have headlines and that sort of thing. And its purpose is not to make it fancy looking, but with good headlines and spacing and things like that, hopefully it's easier to read. Oh, now this is an alcohol splash, but see, it doesn't have the menthol that the chisel face splashes do. And so, this feels good. I'm not getting any alcohol sting. Oh, man, that is the way. Oh, I'm not smelling a lot of it in my hands, but I think that's largely because it's been so around me during the shave here. It was a nice, like 5 out of 10 in terms of presence, in terms of strength, and that's about where I like it. This is such a nice scent. I wouldn't mind if it were stronger, but I'm fine with where it was. At various points in the shave, I was getting new whiffs of it as I was moving around, getting down to rinse and all that. So the scent strength was just right for me, at least. And let me vent my razor. So very happy with that during the shave. And then right now, what's coming across a little stronger is that, like that bergamot. It's popping a little stronger with the aftershave. All right, I'm going to pause you for a little while I clean up my brush and the bowl, cap up the splash. So the brush full of water, I did a good bit of shaking, but that holds a lot. And so I'd say it was medium wet, and a lot emptied out into the tub when I started loading, and then I poured that into the bowl. So a good bit was provided by the brush for the lather, and I only added a little bit from my jigger separately. And that's all the water that was needed to give all that lather, so that's good. In a way, if I would have just shaken it about half as much as I did, then that might have been perfect in terms of the water needed for this amount of soap that I got. And then here is what the soap looks like after the fact. I guess with the 2 lights coming from 2 different sides, it might give you guys a nice kind of 2D effect or 3D effect to be able to see the textures of things better. It may cause things to be in more contrast and harder for you guys to really gear. But this scent, yes, I definitely think the soap here is going to be awesome in the shower. Definitely think that'll be good. Oh yeah, the wood now, yeah. Now, when I smell my hands, that bergamot is still quite there, but when I am just smelling it moving around here, as I've been looking around for things that need doing, I'm smelling the woodiness, the woody parts of it. Let's see, what else? The sandalwood, yeah, some. but the cedar is probably stronger than the sandalwood, but the vetiver and the ambergris are jumping in there and keeping the cedar from being too much like a Home Depot, too much like a fresh 2x4, you know, that kind of thing. That's kind of monotonous, it's not as interesting. And so I think this is a wonderful scent because of its simplicity. We're just talking about 6 notes and only one middle note, that's the lavender, one top note, which is the bergamot, and then the rest are base notes. And man, it's just wonderful in its simplicity. I really like this. This is my first shave with the soap. This is my first time using the splash. I think I have sprayed the cologne on myself before, and I really liked it. But in light of this, I'm going to check and see my past orders on Stirling's website and make sure that I have at least one backup of this soap. I don't know that I'll buy the splash more since I do have at least 2 of the colognes. But wow, this is really nice. This is right down my alley. I mean, only if maybe it had leather. But I mean, you can't put all your favorite ingredients in every single soap that you have, right? Because then everything would smell the same. So you've got to take something out. And so that's fine. Wow. Yeah, this is really good. This is nice. This is really nice. I'm so happy with this scent. So, Creed, thank you for creating Bois du Portual, because that has inspired Stirling to make Outdoor Man, and I am very glad about that. As you can see, it's splaying a good bit, but it's just so dense that it's still naturally got that backbone to where I felt mostly like using the tips was the best way to go instead of trying to keep it in a splay. People say that the fan shape, instead of this kind of bulb shape, is better for the backbone in terms of weaker backbone. And I kind of want to argue about that because the shafts are shorter on the outside, and so surely they would provide less support for the core bristles, right? And so maybe it just feels like it has less backbone. But anyway, you can see it's splaying over a good bit. I don't know that it could do any better. And it's still a little too much for me. So, if I had fixed this with epoxy, it would be too much. I could not remove the brush knot. I would have to either destroy the handle or the brush knot. You have to pick, usually. Unless it was epoxied with minimal, tiny bit of epoxy that's on the verge of breaking. And that's rarely ever the case. But I like to use silicone with mine, which means I can just yank this guy out with a little bit of force. And he'll come right out, and I'll be able to silicone him into another handle. So I'm going to put that on my to-do list. Unfortunately, I think this knot is tremendous for other people. And a lot of people like that backbone with these nice soft tips. The tips are comfy and nice. But it's kind of on this spectrum here, where the middle is the even matching of backbone and softness. Well, this leans more toward the soft tips but greater backbone, where I like it, instead of being in the middle, I like it just a little bit on the other side with a little bit less backbone while still having those soft tips. So, each of us get to try to find the brushes that match our own preferences, right? There's no right or wrong, just whatever you like, that's what you should find. All right, well, let me... one of the neat things about having the trifecta, we call it a trifecta when we have these 3 things. We have the soap, the splash, and the cologne. We call that, in America, we call that the trifecta. It's called a set if you have the soap and just the aftershave product. Whether it's a splash or a balm, you can still call it a set. I have a Outdoor Man set for sale, is how you might say it. And that would mean these 2 items. If you say an Outdoor Man trifecta, which is not as global of a term, I think, but at least in our little wet shaving corner of Reddit, when you say trifecta, you mean the set plus the cologne or the fragrance. And so let us put on the fragrance and see if something else jumps out in the scent. That's always, I often find that to be fun. Like with the Midnight Stag, this wonderful burny, woody, roasty, woody type note comes out that is not in the soap or the splash. There's a slight sweetness, like I think the sandalwood is coming out more. Instead of that, the punchy cedar, the cedar's backed off a little bit here. I'm smelling the bergamot, I think, and a little bit of the lavender. That's just so nice. The vetiver, I think, is backing off a little bit. I think the sandalwood that Stirling is using might be a little bit more of a sweeter one. I mean, not sweet like a cake or anything, but just sweet on that spectrum. It's not quite that same sandalwood that you might find with Perazzo Red, but a little bit more of a sweet type of sandalwood, because I think the other kind of sandalwood's harder to find. That's just terrific. Yeah, the bergamot definitely, and that should be the way it is, right? It's the top note, and so it should be what you smell kind of first. In about half an hour, I should not smell as much bergamot on myself as some of the other as the heart note of lavender should start to come out. And then a couple hours later, those base notes of sandalwood, vetiver, cedar, and ambergris, those should really be prevalent. We call that during the dry down. So there we go. Great shave today. I picked them well. Thanks so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I'll also say one other thing. I started to say about those throwback, the videos from earlier this year in May. I will start putting those out, and so they might seem out of order if I mention austere August coming up or something like that. But that is why I'll also try to add a comment in the beginning of the description there to show that it is a prior recorded video. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Good night.